Hi guys, my name is Sumner, also known as Sum the Bookworm, and today we're going to be talking about the Crescent City trilogy. So if you're new here or you just simply weren't aware, I am a really big Sarah J Maas fan. I started reading the Throne of Glass books back when she was first publishing them, and I was continuing to read them as she was publishing them. So Empire of Storms was there for when it was getting published, had to wait for Tower of Dawn, had to wait for Kingdom of Ash. Like, we had to wait for everything. Probably 3 years ago, I picked up ACOTAR for the very first time and absolutely fell in love with it. Just, I love the world, I love the characters, and it's exactly like what I needed after not reading fiction for so long. And that's like a completely different story for a completely different day. But basically it was like the series that I needed to get back into reading, as I know it was for also so many other people. But there's nothing like diving into an SJM world. There is nothing like her writing, in my opinion. So of course, now that we know that ACOTAR 6 and 7 are going to be happening, I said, okay, well, I guess it's now time that I read Crescent City. So I picked up the first book maybe 2-3 months ago, something like that, and I really enjoyed it way more than I expected to. I ended up enjoying it way more than I expected to, so let's talk about it. So just to give you some context in case you're new to the SJM world, if you are planning on reading ACOTAR 6 and 7, you do have to read the Crescent City books. So that is something to keep in mind with these specifically. They are also so different than anything I've ever read by SJM. I just want to also preface that. Throne of Glass and ACOTAR are very typical, like Throne of Glass is like high fantasy, like epic fantasy, and then ACOTAR is a lot more romantic-y. Crescent City, I have all three of them here. Crescent City is a lot more like urban fantasy. They touch on fae, but there's also angels and demons and vampires and werewolves and just, yeah, different things like that. Like, it is so different compared to the other books. It also takes place in modern day. So like, they're texting with their phones. They're able to take pictures. It's just very, very different, and it also just feels very intense. What I mean by that is, like, I'm reading it and I'm like, oh my gosh, anybody can get in trouble. Like, the leaders are mean and crude. I just imagine there's a lot of leather and bikers. Like, that's like the vibe. I don't know if that makes any kind of sense whatsoever, but like, that's the vibe it gave me. I will give you a overview of my thoughts on this, spoiler free, and then I'll dive into things a little bit more with spoilers, but I'll let you know when I'm going to do that so you can skip over. And then I will also go ahead and share with you guys like the order that you should read the books, because there is a crossover that does happen. That's not necessarily a spoiler or anything, because it's actually like a pretty well-known fact. But I will say that if you are planning on reading any of Sarah J Maas's books and you want to read ACOTAR 6 and 7, I would definitely say go ahead and read Throne of Glass. Get through all 7 of those books, 8 if you include Assassin's Blade. And then if I were you, I would also go ahead and read ACOTAR. But honestly, I would read Crescent City 1 first. So all of Throne of Glass, Crescent City 1 first, ACOTAR books 1 through 5, okay? And then pick up the second and the third book of Crescent City, because then you've been introduced to characters who are going to appear in the crossover. You have backstory to them and everything. But the reason why I say read Crescent City in between Throne of Glass and ACOTAR is because it gives you an idea of what the writing style is like in the world. Obviously, you could just read ACOTAR and then dive into all 3 Crescent Cities, but I think that because it's so different, I don't think as many people like this one as much, because it's just such a different writing style, and it has just a different feel to it. I don't know how to explain it. It just has a different feel and a different aesthetic to it. So that's my opinion on the reading order of them. Let's go ahead and talk about my thoughts on all of these books. So just to give you some context, spoiler-free review, I really, really loved this book. I think I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. Let me look and see. What did I give this book? I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads. So I gave the first book 4 stars on Goodreads. That's actually a really good review for me. My qualm with this book was it was 450 pages of world building. That world building is completely necessary, because the whole time you're reading it, you're like, who's the 33rd? What's the Ox? Who are these people? What's going on? And then you get into the second book and everything makes that much more sense. I was not expecting to cry the way that I did in this book. It is a true slow burn between Hunt and Bryce and just like the friendship that they form. Context is what this book is about. Basically, we meet Bryce Quinlan. She is living in the city. She is best friend with Danica Fender, who is a werewolf, and I'm pretty sure they're roommates if I'm not mistaken. Danica ends up getting attacked and is brutally murdered, and then we follow Bryce 2 years later after the murder of her best friend and how this has impacted her. Along with that, 2 years later, murders start to happen again, and so she gets involved because she's trying to figure out what happened to Danica. Why are all these other people being murdered? Is it related? Is it not related? She's also then being protected by Hunt ACOTAR. I think I said his name right. Anyways, and he is keeping an eye on her. Obviously, you know, a relationship starts to form, a friendship starts to form as they are both trying to figure out what is going on. There's a lot of elements of magic in this, but it's different than the other books with Sarah J Maas. It deals with like first light and second light, different things like that. There's like this thing about the drop, which they have to make if they want to become basically immortal or at least live longer than an average human. Bryce is also half human and half fae, which is really interesting because not many people are like that in this. So that's just like context overall about like what the story is. Sorry, that was a little all over the place. It was really, really good. When I tell you that this book is a slow burn, it is a slow burn. Nothing happens between them romantically until the second book. And even in the second book, it's like 60% of the way in. Like, it's crazy how slow it was, but it was also so refreshing. The politics in this world was also really crazy. I had a difficult time following it in the beginning, but then we get to book 2 and that all changes. So overall, I gave this book 4 stars. I really loved it. If I had to pick out of like the Throne of Glass books and out of ACOTAR and everything, like if we were to play Kiss, Marry, Kill, I would kiss Throne of Glass, I would marry ACOTAR, and I would kill Crescent City. It's not my favorite out of all 3, but I still really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought that I would. And I just don't think that Sarah J Maas can do anything wrong. That's my thought on the first book in Crescent City. Now we go into talking about the second book. I know I did give this 5 stars. If you read Crescent City and you're like, I don't know how I feel about this, I don't know if this is for me, get to the second book, because everything that happens here is a lot more fast-paced. There's a lot more things happening. You have context for the world now, so following is a lot easier. I got through this a lot faster than I thought that I would. I'm going to get into the spoiler part of the review now. So if you have not read these books and you don't want to be spoiled, I would continue like past this. I would probably stop watching now. Thank you so much for watching. But we are going to move on into the spoilery part of the review now, because it's really difficult to talk about a second book without spoiling the first book. In our second book, we find out that the horn is tattooed on Bryce's back, which is a really big deal. And I just really enjoyed this book so much. I enjoyed the relationship of Hunt and Bryce. I enjoyed the factors that like we got to just see them kind of just laying low for a bit after they killed an archangel. I think his name was Micah. And yeah, like it was just nice to see them be still for a little bit. But then they get pulled into the rebels' plans and everything just kind of explodes. Not gonna lie to you guys, this book and this book kind of blurred together for me. This book was also crazy. I think that honestly though, that this is my least favorite out of all 3 of them. I think that this could have been 200 pages shorter. I really do. I really feel like this could have been a lot shorter than it was. All of the war scenes, because obviously like we're gonna have a big war and everything, it just felt like the goodbyes and the emotions were just all so drawn out. Rune and everything that happened with Day, who ended up being Lydia, which again, this is a spoiler portion, so if you don't want spoilers, don't watch this. But like we find out that like Lydia is Day and all these other things, and like just them saying goodbye to each other, I was like, this is taking so long. And then everything of like Bryce and Hunt and like how they said goodbye, like that just took forever. And it just, there are a lot of characters, but I wish that some of it would have sped up a little bit faster than it did. I also loved the crossover. I loved how Nesta and Cassian were involved in this along with Azriel, and we got to see Ryzan and we got to see Farrah for a little bit, and it was just super exciting to like see everybody and like be back with those characters because I absolutely adore those characters. So that was super exciting. I really did love that. I still wish though that like some of it would have just been a little bit faster paced. The pacing on this just was not it for me. I didn't enjoy that. I do have a ton of theories regarding like world crossovers and everything. When we get to the part in the book where they're talking about like how everybody came to Midgard and like different fae from different planets got there, they mention fae with canines, which relates back to Throne of Glass. And I really was hoping that we wouldn't have a Maasverse crossover, but I think we're going to be getting a Maasverse crossover with ACOTAR 6 and 7. Or at least maybe another Throne of Glass book in the future. Somehow I think that she's going to connect them all. That's my theory, because like fae from Throne of Glass were mentioned. And I also have always wondered like, how does this actually connect with ACOTAR? Because in ACOTAR, you see like the fae aren't bothered by iron, but in Throne of Glass they are. So I've always wondered like, did they age out of it? Was it a different generation? Did they take place at different time frames? Like, did Selena come before Farrah? Did Farrah come before Selena? Like what, how did this work here with like the storyline and everything? So I am intrigued to see like what she's going to do regarding that. Overall though, I really did enjoy this series. Again, not my most favorite series out of everything, but I think it was really well done politically. So if you like a really good heavy political book and you also want a good urban fantasy and you want a slow burn, you should pick up Crescent City because it was very, very good. If you have read Crescent City, I would love to know. Please let me know down below what your thoughts were and what you ended up rating the books. That's like pretty much my thoughts, my review on Crescent City. It was just a lot of things happening and my brain couldn't always keep up, but it was really, really good. If you guys like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any time that I post a new video. Also, let me know what you guys thought about this book down below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!